Imagine a man who stares into the abyss and the abyss blinks first. I'm talking about none other than Thomas Shelby. Nietzsche never met him, but he spent all his life waiting for someone like him. Now, I'm pretty sure that most of you know about who Thomas Shelby is, and some may know about who the Friedrich Nietzsche is. Now, those of you who don't know who the Friedrich Nietzsche was a German philosopher. He came up with an idea which is called Ubermensch in his book Thus Spoke Zarathustra. What he meant by that idea was that a human is an incomplete product and he has to climb some stairs to become, which he calls Ubermensch, or translated as in English, Superman. Ubermensch is not a perfect man, he is not a villain, he is not a hero either. He is someone who's beyond good and evil. He is someone who rejects the idea of morality given by the society. He is someone who writes his own meaning. He is someone who rises above the society which tries desperately hard to shape him. Someone who does not ask, "What should I do?" Someone who asks, "What can I create?" Now enter Thomas Shelby, a man forged in a war, a man sharpened by trauma, a man who is powered by unlimited ambition. Thomas Shelby is someone who isn't controlled by church, state, or the ghost that speaks to him in his mind. We can say that if Ubermensch is a blueprint, then Thomas Shelby is indeed a walking prototype of it. And Nietzsche, well, he never met someone like him because obviously he is a fictional character, but he spent all his life waiting to meet someone like him. Even though he survived the trenches of France, but in reality a part of him never came back. The war ended on paper, but in his mind he's always in a war. Thomas Shelby is a person who doesn't create conflict, but instead he chases it.
That's it.
Oh, right, for Christ's sake, why?
Hey!
Why?
Why? Because we can! Because we can! And if we can, we do!
He's not addicted to peace, he's addicted to purpose. As Nietzsche wrote, "You must carry chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." For Thomas, chaos became his fire. Every deal, every bullet, every betrayal is him reenacting the war. For someone who's forged in a war, the normal life feels like a death. He follows kind of a street stoicism, never revealing his emotion. Now Thomas knows that showing emotion is a sign of weakness in the world which he lives in. He knows that emotions give too much information to your counterpart, to your opponent, or to your enemy, that he can use it as a leverage against you. For example, take a scene from Godfather. Now Don Corleone is dealing with Sollozzo, something about business, and it seems like that Don Corleone isn't very interested in that business because he thinks that it will harm him in the future. And where everyone is sitting, his son is also sitting. When Sollozzo threw some lucrative offer, his son Sonny Corleone instantly jumped in and asked him what. It gave Sollozzo the opening. In an instant, he knew that his son is interested in an offer, and in order to get the Corleone family into the business, he must get rid of the father. Just a small reaction from his son, and it revealed too much. For Don Corleone, it was a death sentence, and we all know that Sollozzo tried to take his life because a small mistake that was done by his son Sonny Corleone, that he showed that he is interested in an offer. Sollozzo made a plan that in order to get the Corleone family into the business, he has to get rid of the Don Corleone. Just a small detail. And what was that? It was his uncontrollable emotion. It was his uncontrollable feelings towards the lucrative offer that the Sollozzo presented to the family. That's why Thomas never responds with an emotion. What he does instead, he listens what the other person has to say. He speaks more from his eyes than his tongue, because Thomas knows that emotion gives so much to the person you're dealing with, and it can cause serious implication, literally on the level of life or death. Nietzsche said it best: "He who cannot obey himself must be commanded." Thomas' discipline is his rebellion. He only obeys himself. Now I know that Thomas Shelby is the embodiment of what a Sigma male is on the internet, and guys especially who are growing up tries to be like him and thinks that he's someone who isn't bothered by anything. He's someone who's free from all the pain and suffering. He's someone who just doesn't care and he's moving forward. But in reality, it's not true. In reality, he also suffers from PTSD. And kudos to the writers of the show that they also shown the other side of the character who is the embodiment of what a sigma male is, the character who is the embodiment what the peak masculinity is. They also shows that he's just like any other human. He's suffering from the PTSD which he got from the France. He lost his mother, he lost his wife, he lost Aunt Paul, he lost his daughter, and the grief of losing all these important people is killing him. But still, instead of giving up and thinking that, oh, I'm so done, I cannot take it anymore, he's just moving forward with all the baggage that he has to carry. And maybe you may laugh at me, but I think he's absolutely following the philosophy of which the Aaron Yeager follows, and that is just keep moving forward. And in this case, Nietzsche has also some words to offer, which are: to live is to suffer, to survive is to find meaning in the suffering. Thomas carries the trauma like an armor. He is the proof that strength isn't the absence of pain. Instead, it is the transformation of your pain into a purpose. When Thomas started building his empire, he stopped asking for the divine permission. Instead of waiting for the divine justice, he manufactured his own. Now, in Nietzsche's world, God is dead. Not because someone killed him, but because we outgrew the need for him. And Thomas is the symbol for it. He decides that morality isn't something that is inherited, it is something that you design. He redefines what is right or wrong, not by the scripture, but survival. And here's the line to summarize this part very beautifully by Nietzsche himself. The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. So do the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions. Thomas sheds his skin again and again. From soldier to gangster to politician, he just kept moving forward. Every new version of him killed his older version. He may have killed the god, but God has cursed him. Even after achieving everything such as family, money, political influence, and most importantly his empire, he keeps circling back to the same chaos. He is haunted not by the ghost, but by the endless pattern of his own becoming. Nietzsche called it amor fati, love your fate. He said, my formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in our eternity. Now I want you to pause the video and ask yourself, would you relive every betrayal, every bullet, every burial just the same forever? Well, Thomas would, and that's the test that Nietzsche never put on the paper. But that acceptance comes with a cost. Every time he transcends the human limit, every time he becomes less human. He turns into Nietzsche's paradox that every man who conquers the morality only to lose peace. Also be careful when fighting with the monsters that in process you do not become the same monster, and when you stares into the abyss stares into you. Thomas is the monster and the Ubermensch at the same time. He is someone who's not meant to be admired, but someone who has to be understood painfully. A mirror reflecting what happens to the man who creates his own godhood finds out that there is no heaven for him to enter. He looked into the abyss, and for the first time, the abyss looked like home. I hope that you found this video interesting. Actually, I finished the book Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche, and he was discussing the idea of Ubermensch. And while I was reading about it, I thought that, you know what, I maybe know this man, I've maybe seen this man somewhere, and then the light bulb just lit in my brain that, oh, maybe it's the Thomas Shelby from Peaky Blinders, so why not let's make a case study whether he is the Ubermensch or not. I just made it because I found it interesting and fun, to be honest. If you may think that I made some points which doesn't correlate with the character of Thomas Shelby, feel free to write them down in the comments. And if anyone who wants to know more about this Ubermensch, he can read the book Thus Spoke Zarathustra from the Friedrich Nietzsche legend. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.